Hello, everybody. Welcome to Battle Nations Deep Dives Episode 2. And today, we're going to be talking about Team Fortress 2. Now, this was suggested by a few people in the Discord and on my previous video to kind of cover the Team Fortress 2 units as a whole, just because they have a weird click in the game. They have a weird uniqueness that no other units really fall into. And especially now, looking back all these years later, they don't fit the same as they once did. You know, they're kind of an oddball unit to see. I've seen a few people mention it where it's just like, it's really strange the TF2 units are back. And while I personally love it, and I know a lot of other people probably do, I can see the weirdness. I can see the uniqueness of it, especially where TF2 is no longer a, giant in gaming as it once was. It's no longer that staple that every single person, back when I first got into PCs and everything, everyone had it on their PC. Every single person that I knew, one of the first games you get, Team Fortress 2. You had Gary's Mod, you have TF2, you had Counter-Strike, Rainbow Six Siege, even when that first came out. That was another one of those where it's just like, there's staples that pretty much everybody got around that 2016 era and previous. It's definitely, the game shows its age. It is one of those games where it's enjoyable, it's fun, but you can tell it's fallen off. It's nowhere near where it once was. And that's kind of where I think a lot of people get the weirdness from it, is like, it's a really cool thing to see how we have Battle Nations coming back, 2025, big year, BN is back. And then you see TF2 and it's like, huh, damn, it's really that old, huh? Like Team Fortress 2 was that big that somehow they were able to work this out back then. And that's what we were working with, is a crossover with one of the biggest games of all time that was free to play into just our little mobile game right here. And I think that really, it's a cool crossover, and it definitely has a lot of merit to it when it comes to these units. Obviously, there's the main issues of just balancing. The units were horrendously introduced, balanced, all of it across the board. They wanted to introduce, it's the point of a crossover. They wanted to introduce new players to the game. People see, oh, dude, I love Team Fortress 2. The heavy's in here, the scouts in here. You get the point. They see these units they love playing in Team Fortress 2. They would come over here, check this game out. The thing is when they come over, when you first get access to these units at what, level 9, 10, 13, somewhere in there. But when you first get access to these units, you end up with some really overtuned units starting off. I mean, off the rip, these things are ridiculous. At the level that you get them, heavy is hands down the best bet. And I will say right now, I'm going to be covering heavy the least for two reasons. One, previous video, if you didn't check it out, shame on you. He's already covered. Two, he may or may not be not the healthiest right now. I may have lost him, so we're gonna leave him out of the video for right now. He's been covered. He's got his own little tribute to him. I love my boy the heavy. As for the rest of them, they are units that at max level, currently level 30, they are units. I will say that you can have them, and they will do things. That's that. We could probably end the video right there, but no, to go more in depth with it, I believe the first two you get access to are going to be the first ones that you have to make. I know are scouts and soldiers. After that point, you have the option of making a heavy, and could not recommend enough. He is amazing. Please make the heavy gunner actually good. Please. Please. We have the heavy. It's the same exact thing, basically. Just please. But yeah, we have Demo Man and Pyro as well. So in total, you have Scout, Soldier, Heavy, Demo Man, and Pyro. Why they didn't add the rest? You know what? I don't know. I think Sniper could have been a great addition. Yeah, it would have been another clone unit, but as we're going to talk about, they all kind of are. They're weird mashes and blends of other units already in the game that already have a role in the game. So it's kind of just weird. They're kind of strange units, and they just have a ton of health at level 1. Like a ridiculous amount of health. All of them in their own right can tank fairly well. Save for Scout that I've just noticed, he just dies a lot. Like Scout just don't be doing it for me. And it's not that big of a health difference between him, Heavy, Demo, any of them, but I don't know. He just ain't that great. He ain't that great. But yeah, so we have the first thing you get, Scout, he's lackluster. I would say in all regards. The bat does okay damage, even for level 1 standards. Like, it's not horrible. It's okay. It works. The only thing he really has going is that a bit higher health pool that's going to help out against those early raider encounters, but as soon as you start hitting mid 15s to 20s, I would say the scout starts losing some effectiveness, and this is without SP being included. I didn't take the time to bother with him. I was never a scout man. I don't like scouts. They piss me off. I was a very bad heavy at best, so scouts jumping in my face and beating me to death with a baseball bat makes me want to cry. But we end up with a unit that's just kind of You know, he's okay. He's decent. His bat's pretty good. His bat can be workable. It's a serviceable attack. The main issue is the shotgun that can either be God at the level, or you're going to miss every pellet. And who knows? It kind of just, it's just up in the air. It's one of those units, and I personally hate the random chance units when it comes to that. Because they can do huge damage, like we're talking the Hornet, the Hailstorm, stuff like that. Not the Hornet, let's be honest, they don't do huge damage, but they can do decent damage. My main issue with those units is I feel like the damage needs to be ramped up. If it was like 60 a hit, so that every once in a blue moon you get like 200 on one unit, or like spread across a few units, that'd be awesome. But when you have a unit that like, he does 80 to 90 damage if all three hit one thing, but then you have, you know, Allied Raider Cannoneer, or Marksman, or Bazooka, or Gun Truck that do more damage and guarantee a hit 90% of the time, what the fuck is the point? You know? So, as for him, he's just okay at best. He's eh. I feel like he is probably the weakest of the TF2 units. Moving forward from Scout, you know, I want to be kind of quick with this one. I want to keep the videos around 15 minutes max, 20 tops. So overall Scout, I would say the weakest. He's just not, he ain't it. He ain't it. He's low riz, no bitches, just absolute L-mans right here. Does not deserve really much credit at all past what, you know, the fact that he's got health, I guess. Yeah, he's got health. Moving on to that, we got Soldier after that, and Soldier's gonna be like the next unit. I don't remember which one comes first. It's been a minute since I've done this quest. Soldier on the total opposite side. I don't have mine ranked up, but I have heard a lot of people saying that they get pretty decent ranked up, and they're not heavy level. The heavy, I think, is the one unit that stands on his own ground when it comes to TF2 units, and actually is a solid unit deep past where we're at currently with level 30. But Soldier doesn't cost nanopods. Scout, I think, is a literal waste of resources to make. Soldiers, I would argue the complete opposite. They are good throwaway units. Don't have to heal them, obviously, if you have OCD, and then in that case, just don't do it to yourself. Don't waste the bars. You need those bars. But they're not super expensive. You know, they're coming in at 350 wood. Now this is at a barracks level 6. Probably look at a barracks level 1. Barracks level 6, 350 wood, 750 iron. They're relatively cheap. And like, early on, yeah, they're a little pricey, but it's easier to make a new one than it is to get bars at that level. And they do decent damage for being able to hit 5 units at once. Obviously, in favorable circumstances, usually it's going to be 3 or 4. To hit 25 to 40 on those units, that's, you know, a good 100 plus damage they can dish out. And then their grenade is 23 to 31, so another, you know, 75 to 90 range of damage on 3 units. It's not bad. And if you stack these guys 2-3 in a battle, you can get a lot of back-to-back shots, no pun intended, where they can just absolutely smash through some of that early armor you're going to fight. Some of the, you know, squishier units, just like they do a decent job. They have a decent bit of health to survive a bit longer, so I think they have a bit more longevity in the game. But even around like level 30 time is where I haven't bothered with them much, but I'm going to look at leveling them up, checking them out a bit more, kind of seeing where if they fit in a bit better. I wanted to get this video out sooner. I went out of town. It's been a whole fiasco. I'm trying to make at least 2 of these a week if I can. Realistically, it's probably gonna be 1, but we're already pushing 1 week since the last one, so I just had to get some out. And if I had all the time in the world, I'd have all these units at the max rank I can have them right now, so I can show them off appropriately for level 30. I think Soldier is going to start to scale off around level 30-35 range, where he's starting to fade into that same that so many units are unfortunately going to be at that we have access to right now, which is just useless garbage. It sits there, it looks like it's, you know, it looks like a little decal on your scroll bar, and that's all it's ever going to be. But for longevity, at least for leveling, everything like that, for where we are in the game, he will get you from point A to point B. He is your daily driver unit for what the TF2 units are. He's going to work. He's going to do fine. He's going to get you what you need done. Now, like I said, I'm going to gloss over heavy. Heavy, just buy him. Just buy one. Buy one. Buy two. Honestly, I would recommend two. I didn't get two myself, but I'm also dumping my nanos in so many useless units that I want to. I really want to. I'm gonna, but I need to make sure I keep some for supers once we get the level increase. But heavy, just buy one. Just buy one. That's the coverage he's getting in this video. If you didn't see my last one, it's not a great video. The polishing, the editing is terrible, but the message is there, the love is there. Just get it. Do him a solid. You'll love him. He will do you so right. And before we get a level increase and everything, when you realize how fast you can increase your SP gains with that man, you will thank me. All right, so after that, Demo Man. He's a unit of all time. He is not bad. My problem with Demo Man comes in the fact that he's 50 nanos. Yes, a lot of us have them stacked up, but when we break down the dollar in pricing right now, $5 for Demo Man. That is 1 month of your Patreon sub if you are a corporal at the cheapest level. And the truth is, there's a lot of players coming in that did not sign up super early on. You know, we got people with 10,000 or 9,000 nanos. You got people with 5,000. People like me that at least had like a few grand saved up, right? And then you have people coming in that have a few hundred. And truthfully, the only unit I can recommend on the list is heavy when it comes to your nanos. Demo Man he's good. I think he's the second best unit. If Soldier is your middle of the road, decent guy, heavy is your best. Scout is your worst. You know, I would argue he's the worst. Demo, I think, is slot number 2. He gives, he's a solid second place here, but he costs more nanos than heavy. 35 versus 50. He has less HP. I believe it's 35 at rank 1. It's 230 versus 195, I want to say, but less HP. But his niche is the exact opposite of Heavy's. He can hit your backline targets, doing higher single target damage than Heavy can. And to be totally truthful, 26 to 38 times 3 is kind of ridiculous. When you look at the direct comparison unit that I would throw him on, which is the Heavy Grenadier. Heavy Grenadier is 10 nanos cheaper. He also looks way cooler in my opinion. Demo Man's like, come on, get out of here. He looks like just a dude with a grenade launcher. Heavy Grenadier, he's got one of those little vacuum cleaner, like baby vacuum cleaners that just, pop the little balls up in the air and stuff. It's full of grenades. It's kind of sick. The Heavy Grenadier is a weaker version of Demo, to be fair, in both health and in damage. But he's a bit cheaper. And he's probably not going to scale as well, obviously. Heavy Grenadier got Riz. He's a cool guy. Probably one of my favorite units in the game for looks alone. I mean, the artwork is fantastic. Demo Man, he's aight. He's aight. He's a guy. He's a dude with a grenade launcher. If there were any Demo Mans out there, I'm so sorry. But they effectively have the same attacks. Demo is just a beefed up version. For 10 extra nanos, I would have to say that Demo is the better option, hands down. If you were going to get one of the two, get Demo Man. More than double the HP at rank 1. Like well over the HP at rank 1. I'm pretty sure mine is rank 2 for my Heavy Grenadier, and he's only at 90 HP. And just more damage on his attacks. And that's going to scale pretty decently well. I know that he scales fairly solid. Right now, just at base, you're getting between 75 to 100 and 115 at level 1. Without crits, sometimes you hit a crit, it goes to like 140. And that's rank 1. Rank 2, rank 3, I mean, you're probably pushing close to around 200 damage on him. He's a good single target unit, and he has the X attack where he can hit 5 units at once. Not as good, but it does have a fire dot. Once that's implemented, he will jump up in rating, in my opinion. Not past heavy, but he will, if he was at a solid 8, he's going to like a 9, 9.5. Because his fire damage is actually decent. It's better than Pyram's, which makes 0 sense to me whatsoever. You have an explosive attack that's going to smash armor. 32 to 48, every single unit it hits. It is a 60% chance to dot fire, and does 20 damage, ticking down by 4 for 5 turns.
So essentially, you get a high roll on this, and you're dealing like almost 70 on a turn without a crit. And that can, if you get lucky, that could be to all the units. I mean, dude could pump out 300 damage like that, like it's nothing. But that's obviously whenever that's actually implemented. As for right now, he's a solid choice. He's a good unit. There's nothing crazy about him that I would argue is like a needed unit, but if you are looking at the TF2 units, Demo Man's a decent pick at least. And if you have the spare nanos, he's a cool one to grab. You know, nothing crazy, but he's definitely a really solid contender, and he's a fun unit to have. And lastly, oh boy, Pyro. I don't know how to feel about Pyro. He's kind of defaulting to that rank 4 slot because I don't think he's totally dog water. When this man crits, because I will say he crits way more than Soldier does for me, and it's probably because of his insanely high crit chance. He's a 35% crit chance. He does some crazy damage. He can actually put out some decent damage. I've had him, you know, go down a line and hit 50 damage on the entire line, 12s on the side, stuff like that. That's like 200 damage right there. It's a less, the spray on the attack is a less useful attack pattern, but it still can be good for certain lineups and stuff like that, certain battles. But what's really crazy is honestly the flare gun. I was not expecting the flare gun to be nearly as useful as it is without dot. But I noticed this one, it crits a ton. Like a ton. A 25% base crit chance with a 55% against vehicles isn't bad. And it hits, you only can target a single unit, but it hits in a cross pattern. So that's once again, 5 units right there. I really wish I would have been able to test Pyro against the Siege of Marin because there's a decent bit of vehicles and such, and actually get to see what kind of damage he put out. But I didn't have nano. We didn't have the nanos back when I did that, so unfortunately, I didn't get to look at that in depth. But I actually think he might have a decent bit of damage to go out against vehicles, just based off the crit chance. And obviously, dots being implemented, he will jump up a bit, but it's just the fact his attacks are kind of at best. You know, 21 to 35, 27 to 37. Compare that to a Flame Trooper, 21 to 35 on their spray. Now, yes, the key difference here, a Flame Trooper can only hit 3 units in front of him. Pyro can hit 9 units in total, 3 straight back in a line that he's actually going to deal damage to, and then 6 on the sides that's going to get tickled, but, you know, he can move it around. That's the key takeaway here, is you can place him anywhere on the board, and he can move around his attack with it, which is awesome. But that's kind of the only upside for him right now, and that's kind of the issue. It's like, yes, 190 HP, he's another solid HP unit, as they all are, and he does decent damage. If you really seriously wanted him just because it's cool, because I will admit, the cool factor in the game, dude, him spraying the flames out, it's kind of sick. But he's just kind of He's another unit. That's kind of where most of the TF2 units fell into. And it's because they were kind of just hurried and brought into the game. You know, they were, like we were originally talking about, where TF2 was this huge game. I think that Battle Nations was really trying to cling on to players and to get as much out of players towards the end. And I should say Z2 specifically, because obviously under new management. But I think Z2 was really trying to hold on and cling to as much financial as they could, and just get as much cash in the very end as they could. And I know it didn't come at the very end, but it came towards it. It was definitely past the glory days of Battle Nations. And I feel like they just kind of threw the units in, said, fuck it, we ball. Didn't really touch balancing or anything. And sadly, that's where a ton of units fall in the game, right? Like so many units that aren't balanced. Now, obviously, we don't need to see troopers at level 50, you know, carrying through the way, or shock troopers at level 50. But there's a lot of units that got brought in that I didn't understand the point of. Like, I'm not saying we need more wimps that are going to last you all the way throughout the game, but it'd be nice to have some of the early, you know, premium units that you spend real money on do something. But yeah, as a whole, the TF2 units are all super cool, and just kind of my final thoughts on it. You know, as a brief coverage, I'm obviously, like I said, I wanted to hit them all. I'm going to have background footage playing of them, you know, just doing their thing, attacking. I'm still trying to work out how to do a lot of that editing with audio and stuff when you're in a battle. I don't want to just cut out the audio and just do music. I'm trying to figure out the style of the videos. So as usual, as I mentioned before, go ahead. If you have tips, if you have any recommendations for stuff, let me know in the future. But to kind of close this one off, I know that we're never really going to realistically see more Team Fortress 2 units, but if there was one unit I could take and pull into this game from Team Fortress 2, or just as a, an inspiration from TF2, a medic, I would love to see nano healing out of the game and introduce medic based units. Have, just as a start, like a lower tier end, a basic field medic, right? He has a pistol to cover himself with, does like 20 damage. Like, he's not meant to be a damage dealing unit, and that's kind of where I feel like the trade off would be, is that they horrible damage across the board, but they can do like small group heals, or have some single target heal, and you spend a turn to do that. And it could help, because like that's the main issue, is the meta is already back out of fights so much that if you're going to lose a unit, you might as well just back out. It all comes down to, did you get a bad crit? Did he hit the wrong unit? Something like that. So just seeing a medical unit that can be like, okay, well, do I want to back out of the entire fight, or do I just throw, a heal at this guy? And then if you eat another crit, like, your unit dies. There's still that risk reward factor there, but I feel like it's less of the monotony of just back out, refight, back out, refight, back out, refight, over and over again. And that would be my one take that I would love to see, would be the medic being introduced. Now, we know it's never going to happen. I'm so shocked. If a medic unit got added, that'd be sick, but the actual medic coming, I am so shocked we even got TF2 units back in the game, and I was super hyped for him. Heavy was one of my favorites back then. I didn't make it super crazy late game. It was late game when I first started playing and everything, but I kind of just got to play less and less as time went on. And I think I ended off in like 40s-ish, somewhere in there. But the Heavy, I remember just being a beast all the way through. That man was still doing well then, and I still see him doing well further on. The rest of them, I could hardly remember. And up until playing now, I didn't even remember how the Pyro's attack pattern looked. I know I had them all. I was obsessed with TF2, but they're just, unfortunately, that's where we're at with them. Unless they get a serious rebalance, I can't say that I would recommend spending nanos on any of them but a Heavy, or even 2 Heavies, unless you have the extra to spare. Now, some things that we could do to rebalance that. Obviously, damage increases or retweaks, the same way that you would touch a lot of units. Dots being added in, Demo Man and Pyro would instantly, I think Pyro would be on the weaker end if we're talking about buffing them all across the board. Soldier is probably pretty fine where he's at. I don't think every one of these units needs to be as future based as possible. But if we were going to make them all future based, Soldier could use a little bit of better scaling, probably in the later levels, just a tad bit. I think that they're pretty much all fine with their health for the roles they play. Scout could probably use a bit of a higher dodge, to be totally honest, seeing as that's kind of his whole main thing, and it ain't great. Could use, if they made his damage consistent where it was 2 pellets on both sides of his double barrel attack, I think that would be fine. He would do a lot better then. It's 30 damage each. That's a total of 60-ish damage without crits, and as he levels up, it does decent better damage. His baseball bat, buff up the damage a little bit, add a stun effect, which would be huge. I don't believe he has one right now. Yeah, so his baseball bat having a stun, even if it's a low chance to stun, I think would be fantastic. And that would definitely help the Scout have a bit more of a unique position in the game. Soldier, I think he's pretty fine where he's at. He could use a little bit of damage tweaking, but he's fine if we're talking about like pushing the units as far as possible. Because the truth is, Heavy probably needs to be tweaked down a bit to fit where the units are. His damage kind of scales ridiculously, even at R3 right now at level 30. Like, he is ridiculous. And I know he said he's basically unkillable before, but as currently proven in this video, don't get double crit by Raptors. It hurts a lot. Just pull out. Just be safe. You gotta pull out, man. You gotta know where to pull out. That's all I'm saying. Be smart. Be safe. I really don't know how to feel about Pyro. I can't say or swing one way or another. Once dots are implemented, I feel like I could cover this a bit better and come back to it. If I get my Pyro leveled up, dots get brought into the game, we could see a bit better, because he has some crazy high dot chance, but low dot damage is the issue. And overall, just kind of meh damage without crits. Crazy high crit chance, but just it's not fantastic. It's just kind of eh. With that, I feel like we've kind of covered everything. And I just wanted to kind of take a look at the coolness of TF2 units and what Team Fortress 2 really was. I mean, this video is basically just to kind of bring it all together and be like, hey, we got them all out of the way. We'll start moving on to the real units, but just one last little look at Team Fortress 2 to kind of throw it up back in that limelight, or the of what everyone probably, at least the majority of people I know, remember it as, and kind of just the coolness of it being in the game. You know, it was unique to see at the time. It was kind of crazy. I remember I was super hyped for it. And yeah, I just wanted to get a little something out there for that, cover all the units. I know it's not the most detailed breakdown. I do plan, since we covered 4 units in one video, I didn't want to go like too in depth with it. In future videos, I will do much more detailed breakdowns of the units, but it's going to be for a lot less gimmicky units anyways, because like I said, these ones are kind of strange balancing wise and everything, and they were kind of a gimmicky option to get in the game last minute. But yeah, as previously stated, go ahead, subscribe if you like what's going on, throw up a thumbs up if you want to see more of this, and let me know what you guys want to see in the future. Obviously, if there's any improvements I can make, anything like that, just let me know down below, shoot me a DM on Discord, anything. I'd greatly appreciate it. And honestly, I just appreciate everyone who does take the time to stop by in these videos. I know it ain't a ton, but it was nice to see you guys leaving the comments and stuff. I really do appreciate it. And I just hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their day.